We should let the music play a little bit longer. I love hearing that music. Good morning, sunshines. Good morning, sunshines. How are you guys this morning? Where are you streaming from? I always ask. I always ask where you're streaming from because I legitimately would like to know. So how is everybody? What is happening? Yeah. So tell me where you're streaming from. Let's see what the folks say. San Francisco's in the house. Maureen Marthel, of course. Hi, Maureen. Bobby is from Dallas. Bobby Clavon. Hi, Judith. Where are you from? Windsor, Ontario here. Sarah Habib is here. Alicia's from Pennsylvania. Michigan. Wow, Georgia, Dallas, Canada. Good morning, Don Lemon. It's sunny days in San Francisco. Wow. Duluth, Berkeley, California, Charleston, South Carolina. I feel like good morning from whatever. Who's the radio host that used to do that? Or I love it when Larry King or whomever used to go, Colorado, you're on the air. You're on the air. Fort Cavazos? How do you say that? Fort Cavazos. Portland, Oregon. Who's the furthest away? Someone is in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. Long Beach, California. Long Beach is so nice with all the canals, right? Richmond, Virginia. But who's the furthest? Oh, wow, the heat's coming on. If you are in an old New York City building or just an old building, if you know the old radiators and they come on, they click like, I just heard that. And it reminds me that it is winter because we don't hear that noise in the summer. That is the sound of winter. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Orange, New Jersey, not far away. East Orange is where Whitney's from. Not far away is the great Dionne Warwick, and I was just there, but that was in, I think it was East Rutherford when I was there for Dionne Warwick. Not St. Croix in the house. Hello, Ross Squire. And West Palm Beach. West Palm Beach, uniquely yours, Latois. West Palm Beach. How far are you from the Mar-a-Lago? West Palm Beach is not that far. I have been to Palm Beach and West Palm Beach. I haven't been to Mar-a-Lago, but I've driven by. So just kind of getting you guys warmed up this morning because I'm getting warmed up. It is a chilly day here in New York City. It is also very sunny, as you can see out of my window. That is an actual window. It's not a set behind you. I guess it is kind of a set because this is where I'm. Pluto in Aquarius, global majority. Let's go. Explain to me what that means. Rochelle, I have to look that up. Navajo Nation, Burnside, Arizona. Thank you. Racine, Wisconsin. Someone was asking someone, I saw you had white supremacists in Columbus. Yes, you reminded me. Producers, if you can find that, the white supremacists walking down the street in Columbus and causing all kind of a ruckus. And when you find it, let me know. I'll put it up there. And that's why I've been saying it wasn't about the price of eggs. Part of it. That's not really what it's about. It wasn't just about the price of eggs, okay? Okay, Oklahoma City, I see you in the house. Disaster Support Squad. Good morning from Louisiana, says Tiny49. Good morning from my home state of Louisiana. Okay, so I say it's not about the price of eggs, really. It's not just about that. But I want you to take a look at your screen because this is the breaking news that we have this morning. It could happen at any time. We'll put it up. We're watching the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. We're watching that website because either there is going to be a statement from the Manhattan DA or he is going to give a press conference to update us on what is going to happen with the hush money case here in New York City against the president, Donald Trump. There has been movement, of course, by his folks to get it thrown out, to get it removed from the courts. But Alvin Bragg this morning is going to decide, or at least sometime today, and I believe it's going to be this morning. It could be while we're streaming live right now, on what is going to happen with the former and president-elect Donald Trump and the hush money case that is against him. And so we will see. So we're going to keep an eye on that, and you will get the breaking news right here on the Don Lemon Show. Welcome to Hot Topics, one and all. We're so glad that you are here. So as I said, we had that. But really, look, this wasn't just about the price of eggs, or if it was about the price of eggs at all. Maybe that's what people thought it was about. Maybe that was sort of what they were led to believe that it was about. But welcome to the show. If you look at the cabinet nominees, you will see TikTok. Thank you for that, TikTok. You will see, And thank you, Susanna Redmond. Patience is a virtue. We're playing the long game. Click the like button and donate if you can. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Oh, Susanna, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for your support of independent media. I really appreciate that. Again, we're going to keep an eye on what's happening here in Manhattan as it relates to Donald Trump's hush money trial. And we'll see if it continues to go on. That is going to be news if that happens. But if you look at the cabinet appointees, which I am sick of talking about, I know you guys are, but it is a big deal. But there's some breaking news on that, or some developing news on that as well coming out. And the GOP writ large, they made very, very clear over the past few weeks since the election day that they think that they have this tremendous mandate, right? They think this is a tremendous mandate that we have, but is it really a tremendous mandate? No, it's not a mandate to govern, but a mandate to hurt people is what I believe that it is. To hurt immigrants, to hurt women, and perhaps most of all, to hurt transgender Americans. If you see what Nancy Mace and Marjorie Taylor Greene are doing up on the Hill. Some of you in the audience may have some mixed feelings about trans girls playing girl sports, or when precisely medical interventions are appropriate here, and that is okay. But what's not as okay is what's not even remotely okay, everyone, is the unvarnished cruelty that we have seen from Republicans who are directing at transgender Americans, particularly one transgender American in the past few days. And I'm going to explain about that. It is such a small percentage of the population that played really heavily in this election. And the reason I say this wasn't about the price of eggs, because they spent tons of money. Most of the money that they spent, or the biggest bulk of the money, let's put it this way. The money that they spent on an ad, the most money they spent on an ad, and the most attention they directed to an ad, and their attention was directed on this transgender stuff, because they knew that it caused consternation among people, even though it was an issue that did not affect a lot of people. So if you think I'm overstating the case, listen, remember, the GOP spent more than $200 million on network television ads targeting trans people this year. That's more than any other topic, even more than inflation. So perhaps, if my friend James Carville says it's not the economy, stupid, it wasn't the price of eggs that got Trump elected. It was a wedge issue. That's what it was about. Okay? Case in point, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Nancy Mace, they're up on the Hill, and they have decided to go against one person who's coming in. Sarah McBride is a transgender. She will be a senator now, Delaware State Senator. She's a state senator. She's going to be in the Congress. Delaware State Senator Sarah McBride won the state's only House seat on Election Day, making her the first openly transgender person elected to Congress. McBride's historic win comes during an election cycle where Republicans have leaned into anti-transgender rhetoric and political ads. The GOP spent more than $200 million on network television targeting trans people this year. Nancy Mace, she's a Republican. She is from South Carolina, set off a firestorm on Capitol Hill with a bill to keep Sarah McBride, soon to be the first transgender member of Congress, from accessing the women's bathrooms at the Capitol. Why does it matter? This measure is not immediately being dismissed by Republican leadership, with the House Speaker Mike Johnson telling Axios, we are going to talk about that. We are working on this issue. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat from New York, asked about the bill, told Axios, haven't seen it. Driving the news, Nancy Mace, 2-page resolution, first reported by Fox News. It prohibits House members and staffers from using single-sex facilities other than those corresponding to their biological sex. The other side, this is a blatant, wait, let me see. Hold on one second. There's something in here. The other side says this is a blatant attempt from far right-wing extremists to distract from the fact that they have no real solutions to what Americans are facing, McBride said in a statement. Okay. So let's talk about this. Why are they doing this? Now, I have noticed everywhere that I've been across the country, even in Florida, everywhere, I have been seeing lots of all-gender bathrooms where you go into the bathroom. There's usually, when I was growing up, there was no law that said, they just had names on the bathrooms, girls, boys, women's, men's, and you went to the one that you chose. This is when I was growing up. And then all-gender bathrooms, it's a single bathroom where you go in, and it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, everybody goes in the bathroom, right? It's a toilet and a sink. which is what you need. All gender. Kind of gets around this mess, don't you think? And then, as I notice here, and I think probably in many major cities, is if you go to a public place, a restaurant, a venue, or what have you, you will have a bathroom that has a common wash area, sinks, so you can wash your hands and all of those things. And then you will have individual bathrooms where anybody can go. 6, 4, 5, sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just rooms where you go in, close the door, lock it, and you go and you do your business. That kind of takes care of the problem for me, if there's any issue with any of this. Also, it makes it easier, it's simpler, everything's in one place. I find that it's very simple to do that. Now, if you want to have singular bathrooms, fine. I think you should abide. Women go in the women's bathroom, men go in the men's bathroom. But who's going to be, as I write in my book, who's going to be the person that's going to be checking someone's gender or genitals to make sure that they are the right gender to go into the bathroom? I don't know who's going to be the bathroom police. Who is going to be the bathroom police? And I really want to know what you guys think about this, because I think it was an issue that was sticky. I think Democrats did not push back against hard enough on this. And I think that their Democrats' messaging on this was bad. They allowed their opponent to steal the message, to take the cycle, and to capitalize on it, and ultimately to win. So I want to know what you guys think about this. Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene on the Capitol steps, outside of the Capitol, speaking about this bill that Nancy Mace is going to introduce. Here it is.
Locker rooms should not be in changing rooms, should not be in our restrooms either. And I'm going to be standing in the ring, standing in his or her way, putting a stop to this insanity and this nonsense. She doesn't get a say. This is about real women and women's rights. And the far left, radical left, they want to erase women and women's rights, and I'm not going to let them.
Would you want Sarah Bright then to use the men's restroom outside of the chamber?
She was born a biological male. She should use the men's restroom. That's how it should work.
How would what's the mechanism for checking who's qualified to use the ladies' room then? Like, just sort of generally. Obviously, Sarah McBride has identified herself as a trans person, but what would be the, like, I guess
here's the deal. Biological men shouldn't be in women's private spaces, period. End of story.
So this is specifically because Sarah McBride is coming to Congress.
That and more.
Can you guys pause, please?
So,
Pause, please.
I mean, if we can't do it here, we can't.
That was a real question. Can you back it up? Because I want to hear this gentleman's question again. And I want you to really think about that, regardless about how you feel about it. I think that this issue is like overblown. But I think, again, all gender bathrooms everywhere would really take care of the problem. Now, they'd have to do something about the places that are not, so when you go into the stall in an all gender bathroom, it's really just a tiny room that is secure. There's no stall where you can get under, over, around. It's just a small room. So again, you have a common wash area outside, and then you just have toilets where you can go. And sometimes there are like 8 or more, right? That's, have you been to, what is that place that I went to out on the road? I forget what it's called. Buc-ee's. Have you seen the bathrooms in Buc-ee's? It's huge. But imagine that if you've gone to a place like that, when you have these enormous bathrooms and you can have a common wash area and whatever. And I know some places, like, women want to be able to do their makeup and they want to be able to do things or whatever. I understand that. And I think all those things can be worked out. But I think this gentleman has the really great question. And I think it's, who's going to be in charge? How are you going to figure it out? How are you going to know? Because some transgender people, you have no idea, right? You wouldn't even know. And is this a real issue? Should this be something that our lawmakers should be taking up? Or should we be focusing on the issues? That's why I say this isn't about the price of eggs. Because if it was about the price of eggs, it would be like, let's do the inflation bill. Let's bring the cost down on whatever. Instead, they're doing gender bathrooms, and they're saying the far left that they want to own. Now, I understand. I feel a certain kind of way about men and women in bathrooms. I really do. And I've offered what I think a better solution, or the most encompassing solution, is. So listen to this gentleman's question, and then I want to know what you think. Here it is.
Herself as a trans person, but what would be the, like, I guess
here's the deal. Biological men shouldn't be in women's private spaces, period. End of story.
So this is specifically because Sarah McBride is coming to Congress.
That and more. So, I mean, if we can't do it here, we can't do it anywhere. I've been strong on women's rights for several years now, and it's time to make sure that we protect women and girls everywhere, and it doesn't stop here.
Okay. And I think we have Marjorie. Do we play Marjorie Taylor Greene? I think we have Marjorie Taylor Greene as well. We may not.
Yeah, we have her.
Okay, let's play Marjorie.
Congresswoman Nancy Mace has a new resolution that would ban transgender women from using the women's bathroom at the Capitol. Is that something that you would support, or like what are your? It's a brand new resolution that was just introduced in the last hour or two.
Oh, gotcha. I support a resolution that keeps all biological men out of women's bathrooms, locker rooms, and private places, not only here in the Capitol complex, our office buildings, but all taxpayer-funded facilities.
How does one? I guess the logistics question would be, how does one check like if someone is qualified to use the ladies' room? Then in that case, obviously there's a new openly transgender member of Congress, but
right, which
more
is a
generally.
man. He's a man. He's a biological male, so he is not allowed to use our women's restrooms, our women's gym, our locker rooms, and our spaces that are specified for women. He's a biological male. He has plenty of places he can go.
Okay, and should they make like gender neutral bathrooms? I guess like logistically, what happens if they have to go to the
in
bathroom?
the men's room, and he has a bathroom in his office, just like all of us do. And that's where I use the restroom most of the time in my office. If he has a bathroom that'll be designated for him. But men need to respect our spaces. And that's what this election was all about. This was a mandate from the American people that are not only fed up with the open borders, they're fed up with inflation, they're fed up with the economy, but they're fed up with the left shoving their sick trans ideology down our throats and invading our spaces and our women's sports. So sorry for the uncomfortable question, but I'm giving you the direct answer. The American people spoke at the election. They're sick of this shit. And so the new member of Congress that was voted into Congress on behalf of his district in Delaware needs to respect my space, my privacy, and other women's space and privacy, because he is not a woman.
Okay, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a horrible, disgusting person. Marjorie Taylor Greene is everything that she just called the other person. She's I hate to speak ill of people, but she is a vile human being. She is gross. She's disgusting. She is unpatriotic. And here's the weird thing. If I saw Marjorie Taylor Greene, I would wonder if she was trans. That's the truth. I would look at her and go, is that a trans? Is she trans? And I wouldn't mean it in a disparaging way. I would ask. So Marjorie Taylor Greene needs to be careful about this, because someone may be clocking her and saying, should you be in this bathroom? They might be sending her to the men's bathroom. Have you seen Marjorie Taylor Greene? Because what Jasmine Crockett said, she's got the bleach blonde, bad built butch body. And so people may be thinking Marjorie Taylor Greene is a trans woman. Okay, Marjorie? So yeah. Now, you can feel a certain kind of way about this. You can feel a certain kind of way about this, but you do not have to vilify, demonize trans people. Now, I'm going to explain to you something. Do I think that some women want a space for themselves, and I understand it? Absolutely, 100%. I understand that. The amount, how many times, let me ask you, all of you, those of you on TikTok or wherever you're following us, wherever you're streaming us from, whatever social media site or streaming site, how many times have you encountered a transgender person in a bathroom? How many times have you encountered a transgender person in your life? How many times? How many people do you think that this will affect? Do you think this affects enough people? Do you think this affects enough people for them to be concentrating on this, all this consternation in Washington, standing on the steps of the Capitol, speaking to reporters about it, rather than focusing on the issues that are important to most Americans? Do you think, how many people, honestly, how many times have you encountered a transgender person in a bathroom? And if you even did encounter them, Did you realize it immediately? How many times? Now, do I think it's uncomfortable for women to be in an open bathroom with someone who looks like a man? I think it would be uncomfortable for them. I have to be honest. So I think that there should be a men's bathroom, a women's bathroom, and then an all gender bathroom. Even a single stall bathroom. And I think that folks should be respectful enough, even members of the transgender community, and you want to go to certain bathrooms, you should be aware that it makes people uncomfortable. And you know who it's not, and don't say that I'm anti-trans or transphobic for saying that. My friend T.S. Madison says the same thing. She's a trans woman. My friend Flame Monroe, who is a trans woman, says the same thing. But I think there is enough, especially for someone like Sarah McBride, who is respectful enough, they could sit down and talk to Sarah McBride. I don't think Sarah McBride is a threat to women in Congress. I don't think Sarah McBride is going to be doing anything bizarre in the women's bathroom in Congress. I think Sarah McBride will probably be using single bathrooms, if there's not one in her office or somewhere near. I think you guys can figure it out by sitting down and speaking with Sarah McBride rather than making it an issue. What if someone did that to your Republican colleague? What if someone said, I do not want to be in the bathroom with Matt Gaetz, who's accused of SA. We need a bathroom for SAers. How about that? Because I would be nervous about being in a bathroom with him, because who knows? But I wish he would. If he wouldn't see stars, he might see Jesus that day. I'm just saying, some people might be uncomfortable, right? Robert Lewis says, I saw a brave woman. I will support her. I think she should be, for her own safety, she probably should be concerned. Jenny Allison says, Matt Gaetz deserves a bathroom of himself. Chris Winkler says, I think I have never seen a trans man or woman in a bathroom in my life, and I'm 50. Thank you. MAGA transgender messaging beat Kamala, says D. Dwyer. You're absolutely right. It did. Have you, be honest with me, have you ever seen a trans person in a bathroom? Have you ever seen that? Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm telling you, if Marjorie Taylor Greene, look, I haven't been to a bar in a long time, like a gay bar, right? But if I saw Marjorie Taylor Greene in a gay bar or a drag bar, I might say, oh, hey, and I would be asking her, questions, talking about trans. I would think she was trans. I'm telling you the truth. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, if you know like I know, you might be hurting yourself with this transgender bathroom thing. I'm just saying. Let's put this up. This is from my friend Yashar Ali regarding this transgender issue. I want to put this. Let's put up the full screen from Yashar. GOP Congresswoman Nancy Mace is introducing a resolution to ban transgender women from using women's restrooms at the U.S. Capitol. I should note that the first trans woman member of Congress will be sworn in this January. I feel sorry for Sarah McBride, but Sarah McBride, I think, can handle herself because she's got to deal with what happened to you, Nancy Mace? You seemed really level-headed in the beginning, and now you're just doing crazy shit. What's wrong with you? Have you what is it? Are you trying now to cozy up to the Trump folks when you were so, in the beginning saying, I can't deal with this madness, this craziness, and Donald Trump has to do this, and he shouldn't be this, and now all of a sudden you're becoming one of them? You are actually becoming like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Wow. Next full screen, please. What a horrible, cruel woman. Asked if she planned to talk to McBride, May said, no, Sarah McBride doesn't get a say. Okay, so she said that on the Capitol steps. Yashara Lee says a horrible, cruel woman. I agree, this is horribly cruel. Although her language is not as cruel as Marjorie Taylor Greene. She is the one, though, that is behind this. She's spearheading this. So yeah, I think it's horrible and I think it's cruel. And what I said before, why isn't she sitting down and speaking with Sarah McBride? Hey, so how do we work this out? How about, let's just be honest, right? Let's just be honest. How about we have never had to deal with a situation like this? How about instead of like separating and dividing people, how about saying, we've never had to deal with a situation like this, Sarah. We welcome you to Congress. We like to hear all sides. We know that there are transgender people in our society, and we need to figure out how to best understand that. So what should we do? Help us to understand this issue. How do we work this out as Americans, as patriots, as members of Congress, as public servants who are here to serve all people, including the very small number of transgender people in our society? How do we do this? They're not doing that. They're awful people. She's a man. We have to stop this weird, whatever she said it was, madness, or whatever she called it, right? Right off the bat. Right off the bat. Now, just explaining, I don't think Jen Psaki is saying that Democrats should lean into this whole transgender thing, but Jen Psaki is now telling Democrats, hey, let's look at the actual facts of this. Let's not have a knee-jerk reaction to this. And I don't think she's saying we should lean in on a transgender issue as for messaging, but I think what she is saying here is let's look at the facts and determine exactly what happened, how many people this affects, which is almost zero. It affects almost zero people, but it gins up the fear in the party. There are some people who are affected by it. Some families are affected by transgender people in girl sports and on. Some people, but here's the number. It's almost zero. Now I want you to sit back and watch this, and I'm going to read your questions, and we're going to talk about this. Let's talk about this as a family, okay? Let's talk about this as a family. I'm going to get some of your questions and comments on the YT, and I'm going to do some from YouTube, okay? So let's go. Let's play. Here it is, Jen Psaki.
Obviously, a lot of soul searching right now going on within the Democratic Party, and that's a good thing. But what I worry about is that in the course of all that soul searching, some Democrats might reach the wrong sweeping conclusions. Republicans spent hundreds of millions of dollars on anti-trans ads this election cycle, including one that showed Vice President Harris talking about government funding for gender reaffirming care for prisoners and detainees. If that sounds like a particularly obscure issue, it is, because it applies to a tiny group of people. And it's also a policy that, by the way, was in place during the first Trump presidency. Another one of the lines that ran over and over again in those ads and throughout right-wing media is this idea that America is faced with a crisis of boys playing in girls' sports. Mm-hmm. Now, these ads created this perception that the issues of trans kids playing sports was dominating schools across the country, which is completely false. Some people got pulled into that argument. Yep. I mean, immediately after the election, Congressman Seth Moulton told the New York Times that, quote, Democrats spend way too much time trying not to offend anyone rather than being brutally honest about the challenges many Americans face. I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that. And then last weekend, Congressman Moulton came on.
Okay, so Congressman Moulton has a point there, that sometimes you cannot say things, and I've noticed this over the years, you cannot say things as someone, he says as a Democrat, but as someone who is not far right wing or far left wing, and people get mad, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm just a human being like everyone else, and I'm trying to work this out. And so I think Seth Moulton is right about that. Back it up just a little bit, because then he had to go and explain himself, and I'm glad that he explained himself, but he should know, and Congressman Seth Moulton, who I think is a good guy, should have known that this would draw some consternation, and he should have known more of what he was talking about. He should have pointed out that it affects so few people that he doesn't understand why that this has become an issue. Okay? Here we go. Keep going.
2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that. And then last weekend, Congressman Moulton came on this network to discuss those comments.
I was just speaking authentically as a dad about one of many issues where I think we're just out of touch with the majority of voters. And I stand by my position. You know, maybe I didn't get all the words exactly right. But the point is that the backlash I've received proves my point that we can't even have these discussions as a party.
Look, reflection is good. But if that were actually an issue at thousands of schools across the country, it would be worthy of a debate. But there are just incredibly few examples of transgender girls playing in youth sports.
Everybody listen to this.
And when we see those examples, there isn't evidence that these kids are a threat to safety or fairness.
Okay, back
when
it
I
up.
say few examples, I mean,
so there are very few instances of girls, of transgender people playing. That was a little far back, but it was just past Seth Moulton. But there's very few. This is the truth. You may not want to hear it, right? You guys may feel a certain way, but she's telling the truth. Listen.
Reflection is good. But if that were actually an issue at thousands of schools across the country, it would be worthy of a debate. But there are just incredibly few examples of transgender girls playing in youth sports. And when we see those examples, there isn't evidence that these kids are a threat to safety or fairness. When I say few examples, I mean that if you were to count the examples of transgender girls playing youth sports in any single state, the number often rounds to 0. Take Utah. When a transgender athlete ban was passed there in 2022, there was a grand total of one transgender girl playing in youth sports. When South Dakota passed a ban, only 1 transgender girl had competed in high school sports since 2013. In fact, when these bans were making their way through Republican state houses in 2021, legislators in more than 20 states could not cite a single instance in their own state or region where a transgender athlete competing was a problem. And yet, the noise on this issue has been constant. And according to Donald Trump, that is on purpose.
It's amazing how strongly people feel about that. You see, I'm talking about cutting taxes. People go like that. Talk about transgender. Everyone goes crazy. Who would have thought 5 years ago you didn't know what the hell it was?
Pause.
See,
Did you guys hear that? He knows. Back it up to the beginning of Trump, please. He knows, and they know, and they leaned into it, and they won. The messaging was better. You can't, I can't, look, I fault them for their cruelty and for their lack of facts on this. Is when I was out talking to people across the country, there were no facts. Transgender people, that was a Trump era policy. Jen Psaki said it, I said it, they still don't believe it. They think it was Kamala Harris. It was not Kamala Harris. It wasn't. It just wasn't. Now, again, I'm with Democrats did not do a good job combating it. They're not good with messaging. Democrats, you messed up with the messaging. You did not follow up. But Republicans leaned into something that was fake, and they won with it. And they co-opted you and you and you and you and you because you believe it. You believe that there's an issue. There's a huge issue with trans children and athletes. You think there's a huge issue with trans people in bathrooms. You think that's a huge issue. When the examples are so few, and in most places it's this. Again, how many trans people do you know besides the people you see on television or that you read about, or the Dylan Mulvaney's of the world? How many trans people do you actually know? And just because you see a man, I'm going to say a man in a wig who may be a cross-dresser, or as they say, a drag queen, that doesn't mean that that person is trans. That means that that person's like in the old movies, what's like Some Like It Hot with Jack Lemmon and gosh, I forget his name. Who was it? Anyway, with Tony Curtis. That they're men, they're drag queens. There are heterosexual men who do drag for work, for their livelihood, and some just like it, and they go home to their wives. So as they say, it takes all kinds. You do you, you do you. But just because you see someone in a wig or someone in drag, regardless of what it is, it doesn't mean that they are transgender. And those people are since the beginning of time. And listen, remember, everyone thinks, oh, a man should dress like a man, a woman should dress like a woman. It's okay, I get that. I understand that. But remember, all of it is drag. All of it is drag. There was a time when men wore wigs, and that was the standard. Women did not. Men wore wigs. Men wore dresses. So it's all sort of an invention or creation that we have, and it's all drag. Everything is drag. So, okay, so, skinny jeans are in, and then bootcut jeans come in, or pants, and then bell bottoms come in, and then mini skirts come in, and then whatever comes in, pants. Women didn't wear pants. Now women do wear pants. Men didn't wear pants. They wore dresses. Now they wear pants. Like, it's all like created. So just remember, everything is drag. Remember, men used to wear the powdered makeup back in the day, right? The white, poof. They put on the powdered wig. They'd like put on right? Do you guys remember that? So it's all drag. So everything that you think like, this is how a man, come on. So anyway, most of the time, be honest. How many times have you seen a drag person? 0. Most of the time. Okay, let's go.
It's amazing how strongly people feel about that. You see, I'm talking about cutting taxes. People go like that. Talk about transgender. Everyone goes crazy. Who would have thought 5 years ago you didn't know what the hell it was?
See, Donald Trump and Republicans have managed to amplify their bad faith attacks to the point that people do have concerns, as misguided and misinformed as those concerns may be. So this is a good time for Democrats to self-reflect about what went wrong and what to do better moving forward. Of course, it absolutely is. But during that process, it's important not to yield to manufactured panic and to align with the actual facts before making sweeping claims. Echoing and adopting the panic from the other side is not leading. It's not meeting people where they are. It's simply falling prey to right-wing propaganda without checking the facts first.
She's right. So you guys fell for right-wing propaganda. Even those of you in the right wing, you fell for it. Many people in the country fell for it. No one said anything. The people on the right said nothing about J.D. Vance in drag. The folks on the left tried to make an issue of it. Him in drag, he's out in college, whatever he's doing. He looked way comfortable with it. He looked, hey, all right, J.D., you do you. But J.D. Vance did drag. That didn't make him transgender. Although his transgender friend probably has a lot to say about who he is, the one that he abandoned. I'm just saying. J.D. Vance did drag, y'all. Vice President-elect. I did not hear much yelling and consternation coming from that. So that's why I say this is, okay, it's about the price of eggs, right? You know what else is not about the price of eggs? Because we would have heard more about taking down the price of eggs, right? But instead, we have just heard about people who are going to protect the president-elect from investigations, etc., and to just really not shake up the status quo, but to stick an eye in the stick a finger in the eye of American democracy and institutions. I think 60 Minutes does a fantastic job of laying out where we are in this madness and with who all these appointments are. Let's just be honest about who these people are and about, we want to compare them to recent history and to folks on the other side of the aisle, right? You have to have a compare and contrast sometimes to figure out where you are. So let's talk about these cabinet picks, but I think 60 Minutes did a good job in framing where we are. Here it is.
This past week, Republicans won the House majority, and President-elect Trump made nominations to his cabinet. Some nominees appear to have no compelling qualifications other than loyalty to Trump. The nominees are Senator Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, Pete Hegseth to lead the 3 million people of the Department of Defense. He's a combat veteran, most recently a morning show host on Fox News with no government experience. Former Congressman Matt Gaetz for Attorney General, in charge of law enforcement. Gaetz has been investigated by Republicans for alleged drug use and sex with a minor. Gaetz denies those allegations. Former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence. She sought a pardon for Edward Snowden, who leaked U.S. secrets and now lives in Russia. And Robert Kennedy Jr. for Secretary of Health and Human Services, a skeptic of vaccinations. It's up to the new Republican majority in the Senate to decide whether these nominees are equipped to represent the American people.
So what do you think? Do you think that these nominees are equipped to represent the American people? Never before in the history of this country have we had that, even with folks who are more conservative than Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not a conservative. Donald Trump is a Democrat who's fooling you guys. Donald Trump is a Democrat who's fooling you guys, who realized how he could gain power in this country. And he told you years ago, if I were ever going to run for president, I'd run as a Republican because they are easily co-opted. That's what he said. If you don't believe me, go look it up. And so far, he's done it. So far, he has done it. We've had controversial picks before for appointees, for appointments in the government, and some of them have not been confirmed because of their backgrounds, whether it was having, a nanny that didn't pay taxes or, that kind of thing. But this is a different era. My friend Anna Navarro on CNN last night.
Let me just say this. I remember, you and I are old enough to remember when Bill Clinton had two attorney general nominees, Zoe Baird and Kimba Wood, who were eliminated, who had to withdraw because they had employed illegal nannies. Matt Gaetz is accused of sleeping with a girl who's almost young enough to need a nanny. And Republicans are saying there's nothing to see here.
Not just nothing to see here. Oh my gosh, I forgot. I needed the report. Let me make sure my team has the report that I would like you guys to play. It may take a while, but I want you guys to see it. This is the report that I want you to play. Do you have a Matt Gaetz report? Do we have that? No.
No, I don't have it.
Yep, I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send it to you guys. This is one, and then there was one that was this morning on the Today Show, which is RFK's cousin slamming him, Caroline Kennedy. But it's just, I just sent it to you guys. That is the report. It's from NBC News. And I think it's Hallie Jackson, because Hallie Jackson spoke to the attorney of two women who are accusing Matt Gaetz of paying them for their friendship, their relations. One of them was 19. This is allegedly, all of it allegedly. One of them was 19. One of them was 17. The one who's 19 said that she witnessed her friend by the pool having relations with Matt Gaetz. They allege that Matt Gaetz not only paid them for their relations, but also there was some allegations involved of either giving or buying or whatever illicit or illegal drugs, party favors from Matt Gaetz. Again, this is your attorney general. This is your attorney general. I want you to watch this entire report, okay? It's very important that all of you watch and listen. If you're listening to us on a different platform, or at least on the TikTok, quiet, please, and listen to this report. And if you're watching us, I want you to sit and listen. Here it is.
President-elect Trump's pick to run the Justice Department facing an intensifying spotlight. As NBC News has learned, the House Ethics Committee will meet Wednesday, according to a source familiar, to discuss its investigation into now former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. The committee investigating allegations of sexual misconduct and illicit drug use, which Gaetz denies, including that he had sex with a then 17-year-old at a Florida party in 2017. That accuser's attorney, John Clune, wants the House report to be released in a statement saying she was a high school student and there were witnesses. Joel Leopard represents one of those alleged witnesses, whom NBC News is not naming.
What did your client witness at this party?
She was walking outside to the pool, and she observed to her right her friend, who was 17 at the time, having sex with Representative Gaetz. They were leaned up to what she described to as a game table of some type.
Leopard says his clients testified to the House Ethics Committee this spring.
Did your client believe that Gaetz at the time knew that her friend was underage?
Yeah, so the House was curious about that. She testified that her belief was that Representative Gaetz had no knowledge that she was under 18, that she was 17 years old at the time he was having sex with her. She also testified that when Representative Gaetz found out that she was underage, that they stopped their sexual relationship and did not resume it until after she turned 18.
Leopard says his clients, both the alleged witness and another woman, testified Gaetz paid them repeatedly for sex and drugs. Leopard says the FBI asked his client in 2020 to record a phone conversation with Mr. Gaetz as part of a Justice Department investigation into sex trafficking and obstruction of justice. But prosecutors ultimately declined to bring charges.
The Department of Justice declined to prosecute Matt Gaetz for these allegations. So how should people square that decision with everything that you've laid out here today?
Whether or not a federal prosecutor takes a case and decides to move forward on a trial or move forward on an allegation is that particular prosecutor's decision. It doesn't mean they didn't do it.
Gaetz has long denied the allegations against him, and in a response to the House Ethics Committee in September, said, "Your correspondence of September 4th asks whether I have engaged in sexual activity with any individual under 18. The answer to this question is unequivocally no," adding he has not used drugs that are illegal, and writing, "The lawful, consensual sexual activities of adults are not the business of Congress," suggesting investigators have a sinister motive to harm him. Leopard says the women he represents want the Ethics Committee to share what it knows publicly so Americans can judge for themselves.
They did testify, both of them, that they consented to the activities. They were also asked whether or not they were victims, and she broke down in tears, and she said it's a very complicated question.
Did your clients make any assessments in their testimony about Mr. Gaetz's fitness or judgment to serve in office?
They're very careful about what they might express publicly, but one
Can we
did say,
pause,
I do
please?
not think a man like...
Okay, she says, I do not think a man like him should serve in office. Here's the thing. If you listen to this attorney, it seems that they're not out to get Matt Gaetz. They're saying, yeah, this happened. I was underage. I was 19. He gave us money. That's what they're alleging. He didn't know that. I don't believe he knew that it was 17. They're not saying, it doesn't seem like they have the knife out. It doesn't seem like they're asking for money. It's not a money grab. They're saying this happened and we don't want to be dragged out into the public. This happens. And they don't believe, as when they answer the question, they said they don't believe, and if you back it up a little bit, you'll hear, they don't believe a man like him should have this much power. Now, you cannot say, well, they just wanted some money or they're just out to get him. They don't appear to be out to get him. That gives, I believe, added credibility to their claims. Again, innocent until proven guilty, but why on earth would they do this? I'm just saying, usually sometimes you can give these stories a side eye, right? When you're like, oh yeah, how much they asked for a lot of money. Okay, I get it. Sometimes it doesn't mean that they're lying, but then it's like, okay, they asked, why did they go to the room? People can do all those things, right? And I believe that sometimes it's like, she shouldn't have been wearing a mini skirt. She was asking for it. I don't believe that to be true, right? That's I'm not saying that. But for all of the excuses that people usually make about this, and sometimes it's right? For all of the excuses, these women are saying, we don't want any money. We don't want the publicity. We'll get our lawyer to talk about it. We're doing this unless there is an official subpoena or something to comply. Unless we have to, deposition or subpoena, then we don't want to be a part of this. But let me just tell you, okay, it's true. Leave us alone. Unlike, again, I'm not saying if it's true or not, Pete Hegseth, whose attorney reportedly has admitted that it indeed happened, and they paid the woman off because they thought he would be fired immediately from Fox if it came to light. There are people who are wrongly accused. Don't get me wrong. I know that for a fact. But then, you know. All right, let's keep going.
And she said it's a very complicated question.
Did your clients make any assessments in their testimony about Mr. Gaetz's fitness or judgment to serve in office?
They're very careful about what they might express publicly, but one did say, I do not think a man like him should have that much power.
And Halleck joining me here in the studio right now. We should be clear, Speaker Johnson is opposed to releasing this report.
Yeah, that's right, Lester. He thinks it could open up Pandora's box since Gaetz is no longer in Congress. But tonight we're learning that some senators on the Judiciary Committee are not ruling out witness testimony. The FBI is declining to comment. A representative for Gaetz declined to address specific questions about our interview, but earlier had described the allegations as baseless and intended to derail the second Trump administration.
Wow. But it's okay for a lot of folks. It's okay. It's okay. The Attorney General, it's okay. They're still out to get him. Those women are not, they do not appear to be out to get Matt Gaetz. I'm sorry. They don't. They just don't appear to be out to get Matt Gaetz. They appear to like, look, this is a lot for us. We are private citizens. And as victims, we don't want to be victim shamed. Or we just don't want to be, as they call it, slut shamed, right? We don't want to be, I'm not saying that they are, but that's the terminology that they use. I'm just saying that, and that's okay. That is okay. By the way, just it's so weird to see because I don't watch broadcast news a lot anymore, just that sort of aggressive, like, and Buster, blah, 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 blah. Wow. Okay, so now, and to this point, they don't appear to be out to get Matt Gaetz. Now, think about it. I want you guys to think about it, especially if you're a MAGA supporter and you believe, like they say, oh, this is just to derail the, the incoming administration. This was back in 2017, what Matt Gaetz did, and Rachel Maddow is pointing it out. Why on earth would he do this?
Matt Gaetz, then in his first year as a congressman, did briefly earn himself some national headlines that you might remember. It was weird at the time. Why is there one member of Congress from either party, from either chamber, one alone, who voted no, who voted against increasing law enforcement funding to combat child sex trafficking? This thing passed unanimously, except for Matt Gaetz. He voted no.
Why do you think that happened? Why did he vote no? Everyone unanimously, they were against the human and SA trafficking or S trafficking. Why is Matt Gaetz the only one in 2017 as an incoming congressman? Why did he vote against it? We did not get to RFK Jr., which I want to get to right now. You guys know Caroline Kennedy is the daughter of John Kennedy, the late John Kennedy, the president. She has some things to say about her cousin, RFK Jr., her uncle's son. Her uncle, Robert Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s dad, was also assassinated. But Caroline Kennedy has something to say about his appointment and about him. Here it is.
I think Bobby Kennedy's views on vaccines are dangerous, but I don't think that most Americans share them. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But certainly he's, I grew up with him, so I've known all this for a long time, and others are just getting to know him. But that's my Uncle Teddy spent 50 years fighting for affordable health care in the Senate, and it's something that our whole family is so proud of. So I would say that our family is united in terms of our support for the public health sector and infrastructure, and has the greatest admiration for the medical profession in our country. And Bobby Kennedy has got a different set of views.
That was very eloquent. Basically, she's saying what Bobby Kennedy believes is bullshit. Let's just put it in common language. She just thinks it's BS. And, you know, basically saying that they have respect for the medical community and he does not. And so very eloquently put, she grew up with him. She knows him well. And she's saying, hey, look, you guys. So by the way, I said I was going to take your things and I didn't. I went away. So I want to hear what you guys have to say about all this, what you guys have to say about the bathroom, what you guys have to say about everything. So let's start with, I'm going to start with the folks, some of the folks who are on TikTok. And if you have some questions, let me know. Let me know what you have to say. Let's see. I can't get these things to work over here. I can't get these things to work over here. Okay. Dreadful, some focus says, we are all doomed. I don't know who that says. Some people are asking me, good to see you live, but there are not much questions here. You guys better on the YT. Those guys over there, and also there's lots of like really like just dumb people over there, which is why they say I need to get some moderators over there. So yes, Uncle Teddy Kennedy, blah, 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 blah. How do you stop the madness? Well, you stop the madness by fighting back. You stop the madness by voting people in, especially you can vote folks into the Congress. You can vote out people like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Nancy Mace, who are actually not doing your business there, who are doing their own business, and who are just following up on Donald Trump's madness. Right? Donald Trump's madness. Someone says, I understand why my sister is now going crazy. She watches this BS all day. Yeah, I'm sure, Eric, watching Fox News and all the conservative things. Yeah. I think people would understand that just from watching that. Just from watching that. So someone said RFK will be the RFK Jr. best health secretary in world's history. Well, RFK is not the health secretary yet. And so we don't know what kind of, so he hasn't even been approved yet. And he has to go through the process. So we don't know who that's going to be, how he's going to be. So let's go here. Okay. Where are all the black cabinet picks? Tim and Byron should be pissed off. Well, we asked that question last week. Where are all the black cabinet picks? If you look at the cabinet folks that he's picked already, most of them are white men. There are some women in there, but most of them are white men. So where are they? Where are they? Where are the black cabinet picks? Tim and Byron should be pissed. LOL, says Bratek. Yeah, I don't know. You'll have to ask. Maybe some would say that they got played. Maybe some will say that they got played to support someone who does not actually support them, who used them as a pawn, and they put all the black people up front at the rallies and got them all to come out and say, I just love you. And they're getting nothing. Nothing. Don, is all this just a bad dream? No, it's not, Martha Woodford. It's not a bad dream. Someone is saying, I can understand how women would be upset that there are men in bathrooms. I understand that. And I think that we should figure that out. But Tim Scott proclaimed his love, says Clint Westman. They got played big time, says Beth Baer. They used those two black men just for show, says Bettina Lester, and they did. Are we really surprised that there are no black picks, says Peggy McGeary? No, I'm not surprised. There will be, just to save face. There's going to didn't someone get urban development or something? Housing and urban development, didn't someone get that? 70% of Americans are followers and they're totally gullible, says 11 Charlie. Explain that. Why do you say that? There were never going to be black men in his cabinet. Be for real, says Valerie Marrow. I don't really see any. Those men allowed themselves to be played, says Lisa G. Weren't Omarosa and Ben Carson the only two last time? Yes. Oh, his was Ben Carson. That was in 2016. His HUD pick will be black, says Lizzie McD. We'll see. Entertainment committee, maybe, says Brittany. Yeah. So there you go. This is something that I find. Thank you for your questions. I should have gotten to the questions before when we were talking about the trans issue, because I think I would have gotten more, because there were many, many questions back in the chat about that. But let's move on, because there is a very disturbing story that I want to play for you. This is a story about a second grader who was, I'll let the story play for itself, but a second grader who they tried to hang him in a school bathroom. The school is telling the parents that it's just horseplay, but according to the reports, his classmates were saying to him, "We're going to hang you back like they used to in the day." That's the report. I want you guys to tell me what you think about this. Here it is.
At a local elementary school. The mother's post about this online has since gone viral. Meanwhile, the school district is saying the students were, quote, horseplaying. Our Alexis Wainwright spoke with those parents exclusively and shares their story tonight. Alexis?
Well, Simone, I spoke with the parents who say they're angry, hurt, and confused, but they're also thankful that their son is still here. And tonight they're calling for transparency and answers from the Charles County Public School District.
If you look at my son, he has marks under his eyes, like blood vessels.
He still has bruises on his neck from being choked.
It's hard to hide emotion as these two parents who don't want to be identified talk about their son. They're hoping for answers after they say their son was hung by a 4th grade student in the boys' bathroom Friday.
He's traumatized. Right. It's going to take time. This is not something that he's going to get over just overnight.
Paperwork from the hospital lists one of his injuries as a neck contusion, which is caused by blunt trauma to the neck. The 7-year-old is a second grader at C. Paul Barnhart Elementary School in Waldorf. Charles County Public Schools says they're aware of the incident and sent a statement saying, in part, 2 of our students were reportedly horseplaying in a school bathroom when one student's jacket got caught on a stall door hook. The student was not able to free themselves, and the other student involved was also not able to help them.
It doesn't make sense to me. If you're horseplaying, how do you get caught on a hook? We need answers. I want answers, and we won't stop until we get answers.
And now the parents say they're sharing their side of the story in hopes of preventing this from happening to anyone else.
My son did tell me that when they were in the bathroom, he said that the little boy told him, "I'm going to show you how I did people back in the day." That's why I feel like it's bullying, because it's no telling how many other kids this has happened to.
And they want the school district to step up.
I want to see a policy in place. I would like to see at least hallway monitors. I want to know, why is a 4th grader in the same hallway or the same bathroom as a 2nd grader? Most schools have them divided. I feel like this is very unacceptable.
These are all our children, and they are the future. So we just, we need to protect them. We sending our kids to schools every day thinking that they are safe.
So there you go. Rowe County, Maryland. Let's see, was that the end of the report? Let's hear what she has to say on what we call
since been released from the hospital and is still recovering. His parents tell me they won't be returning back to school, but they hope to hear more updates from the district soon. Simone.
They won't be returning back to school. I would send my kid back to school. I'm sure they work, but I would go with them. I'd go to school with my kid. I wish you know what would. Second grade, that's happening. That is happening. Producers, do we have a report on the Nazis marching that we can play that doesn't have the crazy language? I think there was maybe a Pierre Thomas or something report.
Yeah, I have a clip of them. Yeah, I have a report.
Let's play the report, and then we'll play a little bit of it, and then we'll do it. And if there's bad language on it, maybe we can play it silent or something. But let's play the report, because this is what happened for Nazis marching in cities, Ohio and Columbus. Here we are.
Was right out in the open. So brazen, Ohio's governor felt compelled to respond.
This morning, new surveillance footage of an armed group of men carrying flags emblazoned with swastikas marching through the streets of Columbus, Ohio. The troubling incident happening Saturday afternoon. Each person dressed head to toe in all black, masks concealing their faces. They shouted vile and racist speech against Jews and people of color. Ohio's governor denouncing the neo-Nazis, writing, "There is no place in this state for hate, bigotry, anti-Semitism, or violence." Hate crimes have been on the rise for the past several years, according to data from the FBI. The Anti-Defamation League also notes a stunning increase in acts of anti-Semitism, with incidents doubling last year compared to 2022. Overnight, African-American community leaders in Columbus taking to the same streets in a peaceful counter-protest.
Today, it sends a clear message that this cannot happen in our city, in this state, nor in this nation. We're not going to be repelled. We're not going to be moved back.
Just a week ago in Michigan, another group carrying Nazi flags outside a theater production of The Diary of Anne Frank.
We asked both President Biden and President-elect Trump about the Ohio incident. Biden responded denouncing the incident. We're waiting a response from Trump. Because there was no violence in Columbus and apparently no direct threat of violence, no arrests were made. The First Amendment allows for all kinds of free speech, including speech dripping with hate.
So there you go. And then there are some, this is some of them marching through. I'm not sure, Andy, which one we have. How many do we have? 2 or 3 clips?
I have 2. I'm playing one right now.
Okay. But this one has the language on it that we don't want to hear.
Yeah, I think they both do.
And they're saying what? The N-word, right?
Right.
Yeah. So these are folks walking Columbus, Ohio. There you go. So this is where we are now. This is where we are. That's why I tell you guys, and everyone's like, oh yeah, it's just you guys, and you're always looking for this and looking for that. This is not about the price of eggs. This was not about the price of eggs. Not about the price of eggs. A lot of folks who were confused about what they were voting on. And a lot of folks, look, I think that this time, people like authenticity. I do believe that. I do believe that is a very big appeal to Donald Trump. No matter how much he lies, no matter how much he's a criminal, no matter all of that. People like authenticity. And I think they like authenticity even in their media. Like, I just think like people are so used to now social media, and especially during COVID, that they've gotten people just sort of just being comfortable and casual like they are now, and talking to people or presenting the news or whatever it is. Whatever it is. I think that people have just gotten comfortable, and they are not used to all the glossy stuff. They don't like it. So it seems fake to them. So whenever someone is so buttoned up and it seems like they're being disciplined or whatever, and their messaging is important, they find it to be fake. And that's why I believe that these AOC supporters who are in the Bronx, who are in New York, who love AOC in a very blue district, voted for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and they voted for Donald Trump. This is where we are right now. I do believe that people want authenticity. And here's an example of someone who asked these voters why they do that. Here it is.
See? Yeah. Did you vote for her? Yeah. How are you feeling about Trump's upcoming presidency, Trump 2?
I voted for him.
Oh, who did you vote for, if I can ask?
For Trump.
Did you vote for AOC?
Yes, I did.
Explain yourself.
She's Spanish, you know, so I'm Spanish too. The United States is not ready for a woman person.
Si fuera mí, que ¿por quién iba a votar? Por Donald Trump.
Oh, really?
Sí.
¿Por qué Donald Trump?
Porque me gusta.
¿Por qué te gusta?
Me gusta como él. La gente está ahora asustado porque los inmigrantes están bastante feos, lo van a
Pero tú eres inmigrante.
Tengo mis papeles. Yo vine por la puerta grande.
¿Conoces AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez?
Sí.
La congresswoman?
Sí.
¿Qué piensas de AOC?
Es buena, me gusta.
Why do you think someone would vote for AOC, who's like as far left as you can get almost.
Because people know more about her, and then, that's how it goes. I don't know much about Kamala Harris. To me, Kamala Harris is a puppet.
A puppet of who?
A puppet for the system.
Why do you think Kamala didn't do as well as Biden did in this area, right where we are now?
Because for black people, we already knew her being a prosecutor, how many black children she put in jail. And we knew her past. She told the world she was a black woman, and she's from India. Not that there's no black in India, but she's not. Us.
You was prosecuting people for a little bit of marijuana, now you all in for marijuana. We appreciate realness.
The prices is high. Everything is going up. So what you expect?
All she does is giggle and go on these talk shows. She doesn't talk about issues.
Why did you vote for Biden but not for Kamala?
I'm a registered independent. I make up my own mind.
Remember one thing about why people voted for Trump. They want change.
So there you go. Similar to some of the stuff that I was getting across the country when people said, oh my gosh, you're scaring me, or you must be somehow getting people to say certain things or only speaking to certain voters or curating it in some way. And I was not curating it. So there you go. That's how people voted. And I believe they wanted authenticity, whether it was real or not, whether they were voting on correct information or not. That's how they voted. That's how a lot of them voted. Okay. So everyone, I thank you for joining us. We're going to see you back here at 5 o'clock Eastern. And there's someone is sending me a note. Let's see. This is according to a report. An unidentified hacker has gained access to a computer file shared in a secure link among lawyers whose clients have given damaging testimony related to Matt Gaetz, a former Florida congressman who is President-elect Donald Trump's choice to be Attorney General. The file of 24 exhibits is said to include sworn testimony by a woman who said that she had relations with Mr. Gaetz in 2017 when she was 17, as well as corroborating testimony by a second woman who said that she witnessed the encounter. Florida's age of consent is 18, so the act described above would be considered statutory grapes. So much more to come. And now you guys have to remember too, even Matt Gaetz' own colleagues in Congress don't like him. So there's no love lost. They're out to get him, and they probably will get him. And I don't mean out to get him by bringing up false allegations, but out to get him mean having these reports be released so people can actually see what's in the report and see who they believe is the real Matt Gaetz. Okay? They are misinformed. It's sad, says Amy's Journey. Keep your passport, black people, says Katrina Crittenden. It wasn't one thing. It was a combo of things that got Trump elected. Thank you. Thank you, Tina Marie. Thank you, everyone who's supporting independent media. I really do appreciate it. That's how we stay streaming, because we don't have the big corporation around us. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about, the media possibly at 5 or in the coming days, okay? So we'll see you then. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Make sure you hit the thumbs up on the way out. Make sure you hit the hearts and likes, and I'm going to go over to TikTok and talk to some folks. So we'll see you there. Thanks for watching. Bye. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And also, we'd love for you to become a subscriber. So hit that button too. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern time and 5 p.m. Eastern. So there's plenty of content for you to check out.